Gotta, gotta, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. That right there is a line that many kids grew up with. Whether you were a kid in the 90s watching the Pokemon anime on your CRT that was threatening to break your TV table due to its weight, or if you're like me and you're too busy not existing in the 90s, you may have heard this song by watching the anime on Netflix like I did on my Kindle Fire. Unlike a child in the 90s though, when I heard this song, I had access to the internet, and I was able to look up how many Pokemon there were, and I was not about to catch 649 Pokemon. But 10 years later, the corporate brainwashing finally kicked in because I'm about to do what a kid in the 90s only dreamed of doing. I'm going to catch every Pokemon in Gen 1 and I'm going to suffer doing it. First off, I want to talk about the difference between completing the Pokedex and obtaining a living dex. To complete a Pokedex, you need to have every Pokemon at some point. It doesn't matter where the Pokemon goes after that. You can obtain a Rattata, register in the Pokedex, and throw it off a cliff, but it will still be in the Pokedex. To complete a living dex, I need to have all 150 obtainable Pokemon somewhere in my PC, which means I need a separate copy of Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard, not just one Charmander that evolves twice. So let's get into my suffering. Before we start catching Pokemon, I need to play through the game first. So I'll give you the abridged version of my playthrough. I start off by naming myself Caleb and naming my rival JP. Hi JP, I know you're watching. I start off by grabbing Bulbasaur and naming him Weed, because I thought he kinda looks like those things that grow in your garden. Also, I couldn't remember how to spell marijuana. Professor Oak gives me the Pokédex after I give him his parcel. I go catch a Nidoran real quick and name it Larry, then I'm off to Brock. After spamming A, I head through Mount Moon, and then go to Cerulean. I sweep Misty, meet a guy who turned himself into a Pokemon, rob him of his SS tickets, and then head to Vermilion. I catch a Magikarp, and then I go grab Cut. Then sweep Lieutenant Surge. I go through Rock Tunnel, catch a Growlithe, destroy Erica, and then I go catch a Doduo. Then I circle with Rocket Game Corner.
Right now I'm watching Caleb fail at a puzzle for children.
Okay, shut up. It's a very hard puzzle for children.
One too. You failed at it. You did this 2 days ago. You did this 2 days ago. The same the same puzzle.
I don't want to talk about it. I got through. Okay, oh frick.
You did the same puzzle 2 days ago.
Yeah, we already did the first 20 times.
Oh my god. I'm watching Caleb do this and I just can't help but think to myself, is he going randomly or is he like, I just saw you going in circles for a second.
I have the brain capacity with Gerbil, okay?
No, and Gerbil would have figured it out. You know,
Yeah,
Gerbil's
actually remember.
Wait, yeah, I was about to say, Gerbil's memorized paths like that. You are sub a Gerbil. Gerbil, you are below a Gerbil.
Yeah, after having my brain capacity insulted, I get the Silph Scope, kill this Marowak, and then mug an old man for its flute. I fight the Snorlax and then forget to catch it. I'm going to regret that later. Then I defeat Koga, defeat Giovanni again, and then go defeat Sabrina. And then I go defeat Blaine next. Go and defeat Giovanni for the final time. And then I go take on the Elite Four and Champion, I win, and my team is inducted into the Hall of Fame. Time to get on with catching way too many Pokemon. In Pokemon Red, I catch the Caterpie line, the entire Weedle line, the entire Pidgey line, the entire Rattata line, the entire Spearow line, the entire Ekans line, the entire Pikachu line, the Nidoran female line, the Nidoran male line, the Clefairy line, the Jigglypuff line, the Zubat line, the Oddish line, the Paris line, the Venonat line, the Diglett line, the Psyduck line, the Mankey line, the Growlithe line, the Pylag line, some of the Arrow line, some of the Machop line, the Tentacool line, some of the Geodude line, the Ponyta line, the Slowpoke line, the Magnemite line, Farfetch'd, the Doduo line, the Seal line, the Shelter line, some of the Gatsby line, Onyx, the Drowsy line, the Crappy line, the Voltorb line, the Execute line, the Cubo line, Hitmonchan, Lickitung, the Coughing line, the Rhyhorn line, Chansey, Tangela, Kangaskhan, the Horsey line, the Goldeen line, the Staryu line, Mr. Mime, Cypher, Jinx, Electabuzz, Tauros, the Magikarp line, Lapras, Ditto, Eevee, Porygon, Ammonite, Aerodactyl, Articuno, Zapdos, Moltres, the Dratini line, and finally Mewtwo. I also could have caught the Grimer line in Snorlax, but I couldn't get Grimer to show up at all, and I ran from both Snorlaxes in this game. If you add the Venusaur I got at the start of the game, then in total I have 118 Pokemon, but it could be 121 if I played this right. But that's nowhere near 150. It's pretty obvious I'm going to have to play another game. Now the question is raised. Which game am I going to play? In Gen 1 I have two options. I can play Pokemon Blue or Pokemon Yellow. First off, these are all the Pokemon I'm missing from the National Dex. These are all trade evolutions, so I can get those from either playing Blue or Yellow. And these are all gift Pokemon. I'll go into more detail about some of these later, but for now just know I can get all of them in Blue and in Yellow. Yellow does have a slight advantage here, because in Yellow I can get all three starters in a single playthrough, and in Blue I can only get one starter. When we get into the last category, it's pretty obvious what game I should play. Version exclusives. The reason Pokemon can split one game into two separate games and make way too much money. The Pokemon Company had this idea to make some of the Pokemon available in one game, and not available in the other, and vice versa. Here are all the Pokemon exclusives I can't catch in Red. Now here's all the version exclusives I can't catch in Red, but I removed the ones I can catch in Yellow. Here's all the version exclusives I can't catch in Red, but I removed the ones I can catch in Blue. Are you seeing the difference here? For some reason when the Pokemon Company made Yellow, they made it so that you can't catch some Pokemon from Red and Blue. So if I were to play through Yellow, I would have to play through Pokemon Blue anyways, because I still wouldn't be able to get Meowth. So I decided just not to play Yellow at all for this challenge, and only play Red and Blue. I'm not going to bore you with my playthrough of Pokemon Blue because it's the exact same as Pokemon Red, and I also played through most of it on my 3DS, so I'm missing a lot of footage. In Pokemon Blue I caught Blastoise, the Sandshrew line, the Vulpix line, the Meowth line, the Bellsprout line, the Grimer line, Magmar, Pinsir, Amistar, Jolteon, and I remembered to catch Snorlax this time. And at some point I got Hitmonlee. Then I got the 4 trade evolutions, Machamp, Alakazam, Golem, and Gengar. In total, this leaves me with 139 out of 150 Pokemon caught. But how do I get the ones I'm missing? Hey, remember how I said I would talk about gift Pokemon later? Welcome to later, we're talking about gift Pokemon. Gift Pokemon are special because you can only get them once in a playthrough of the game. This usually doesn't matter in later games, because if you only get one Eevee in the entire playthrough, you can just breed it to get more Eevee. The thing is, Red and Blue doesn't have breeding. You only get one Eevee in Celadon City when you're doing a playthrough of Pokemon Red and Blue, and that's it. So in order to complete a living dex, I have to play through Celadon City 4 times. That's not all though. You get gifted 1 fossil the entire playthrough as well, and you need 4 fossil Pokemon for the living dex. I thought this would be simple enough though. I'll just grab the fossil my way to get an Eevee, and trade it to my completed profile. Then I found out, Pokemon can't hold items in this game, so I can't transfer items to another save file. Technically you could use Pokemon Stadium 2 to transfer items, but I can't be bothered to get that set up. So now I'm doing 2 playthroughs, all the way to Sandbar Island, in order to get the Eevee line and the Kabuto line. So, I start a Blue playthrough, and I go beat Brock again. I go grab the Dome Fossil this time in Mount Moon, then I lose to Misty a ton of times before finally beating her by being overleveled. I beat Surge real quick, run through Rock Tunnel, I grab an Eevee, and then I evolve into Vaporeon. Did you know that in terms of human... Then I sweep Erica, I go through the stupid Rocket Game Corner for the 3rd time, like a man for his flute, I defeat Koga just so I can use Surf. Surf my way to Cinnabar. I grab Kabuto from this guy, and that's time. Took me about an hour with speed up, but this adds Charizard, Vaporeon, and Kabuto to my total, making it 142 out of 150. And then I go do the exact same thing in Pokemon Red. And I'm not giving the full recap here because I didn't do much different here. I get an Ivysaur for the Living Dex. I get Flareon. I skipped Rocket Game Corner this time by using a Pokédoll here to break the game. Then I get to Cinnabar Island and grab another Kabuto. After I transferred Kabuto and evolved it, that's 145 out of 150. All I have to do now is reset the game 5 times to get the rest of the starters I don't have, and that's it. 150 out of 150 Pokemon. I'm done. It's done. Look, I have the certificate. But okay, I've been on YouTube long enough to know that someone out there is commenting, "What about Mew?" on this video right now, thinking they're smart. Well, what about Mew? There's no way to obtain Mew legitimately in this game. The only way to obtain Mew was through distribution events that only happened in Japan back in the 90s. And if you haven't noticed, we're not in the 90s anymore and I don't live in Japan. But this game is broken. And if we can't get Mew legitimately, we're just gonna have to get it through breaking the game. In order to get Mew, I'm going to use the trainer fly glitch. When a trainer is first initialized, they will face south for 1 frame before facing the proper direction. That gives us a window to open up the start menu before the trainer views us. Once I have the menu open, I use teleport to leave the route and return to the Pokemon Center, right as the trainer sees me, trying to initialize a battle. I then go fight this trainer in Misty's gym and use ground 6 times on the Cloyster. Now I've accomplished 2 things here. Since I initiated that trainer on Nugget Bridge, the game is now constantly trying to start a battle on Nugget Bridge. Normally when you first encounter the trainer or find a wild Pokemon, the game uses a certain value memory slot to determine what the Pokemon is and initialize the value. Normally that value is set when you first encounter a trainer, but in this glitched battle, the game just kinda uses whatever the memory tries to set to at the time. Fortunately, the stats of another trainer's Pokemon is also stored in the exact same memory slot. And since I just fought Cloyster, the game uses the special stat of that Cloyster, which is currently loaded in that memory slot, to determine what Pokemon appears on Nugget Bridge, which just so happens to be the same value for a wild Mew. And then to determine the level, the game uses the attack modifier of the Cloyster, which at default it starts at 7, but since I used Growl 6 times during the battle, the attack modifier has been lowered to 1. So when I walk into Nugget Bridge, a battle is initialized using whatever value is stored in memory, and I get a level 1 Mew. Now it is impossible to get a level 1 Pokemon in Red and Blue unless you use this glitch, or another glitch, because a Pokemon at level 1 causes another glitch to occur. If you have a level 1 Pokemon and you gain experience points, but not enough experience points to level up that Pokemon to level 2, the Pokemon will just go straight to level 100. And I hope that level 100 Mew will be able to satisfy the commenters. And that's it. 151 Pokemon, all on my PC, all here and accounted for. A complete Living Dex in Gen 1. And it only took 2 complete playthroughs, 2 trips to Cinnabar Island, restarting the game 5 more times, and a month of my free time. And doing 1 last playthrough to Misty in order to overwrite RAM values to get myself a Mew. I'm just glad that I'm probably never going to have to do anything like this again. Oh yeah, I forgot.